Guys, listen. I think I found a Planeswalker missing from Strixhaven. Like, the set is designed in such a way, in a flavor sense, that this Planeswalker could have, and I believe should have been included to expand upon their story. And I know, I'm gonna bait a lot of you out there with this, but I'm not talking about Garruk Wildspeaker. He's an obvious miss for Strixhaven, but that's a topic for another video. Now, the Planeswalker I think deserved to be in Strixhaven just for the flavor is... Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon with another tabletop tale. Sorry to leave a lot of you on the edge of your seats there, but I want you to stop and think for just a moment what Planeswalker, flavor-wise, would have fit in the set like Strixhaven. We have a school of young mages at the central hub of magic in the multiverse that's become a beacon for Planeswalkers everywhere. There's a Strixhaven recruit traveling the plains in Kasmina looking for those who have yet to spark or just have recently sparked, so they have to be a fairly young Planeswalker like Will and Rowan Kenrith. And thematically, they already align with a specific college on Strixhaven and even artistically tie into that college's mechanic. The one Planeswalker that fits all of these categories is Nico Ares. So yeah, Garruk, you may have been my personal pick for most missed Planeswalker in Strixhaven, but as I thought about who Nico Ares is as a character, I started to convince even myself that they probably would have been an even bigger missed opportunity. And in this video, I hope I can convince you that seeing them in Strixhaven would have been a pretty sick idea. But yeah, absolutely no shade meant to the Garruk gang, of which I am a founding member. Whew, I love that wild dude. So first, who is Nico Ares? Which actually won't take us very long because they aren't some far-flung Planeswalker with loads of history. In fact, they literally just made their debut in the previous set of Kaldheim. Hell, their card will be standard legal for some time, but it's not because of their history that I believe they would have worked great in a set like Strixhaven, but rather their design as a character. Nico Ares is from the plane of Theros, the same plane that Gideon hails from and is renowned for in his early heroic antics. There's even a memorial built in his image there to inspire his home plane long after his death. Nico was simply a competitive javelin thrower for the Therosan Games, and in that they became quite the celebrity. This was in fact their destiny prescribed to them via the oracles and fate. Essentially, it was their divine path in life, something Nico didn't quite agree with. So one day they were like, hey, I want to make my own life choices, not just go with fate. Although their fate was to literally win every competition, which, let's face it, is better than 99.9% of the peasants on Theros who are destined to shovel ox crap until they're impaled by a minotaur. But hey, Nico wanted something more. Fine. Anyway, they bucked their destiny and threw a match on purpose, directly questioning fate and the god who personified it, Clothes. Clothes was pissed, but was dealing with much more troubling pests such as Elspeth Tyrell escaping the underworld. Still, the god of fate sent agents to kill Nico Ares, I guess, just for throwing a match. This fight against these agents is what triggered their Planeswalker spark, and the very first plane they jumped to is Kaldheim. There, Nico, now a Planeswalker, went on a journey to find themselves and to discover a new destiny open to all the possibilities that Theros never really afforded them. So they ended up banding with the Valkyrie Angels of Kaldheim, saved their realm from a giant space snake, and landed right into the lap of Kaya. Yeah, Nico's story in Kaldheim was sort of disjointed, rushed, and collided with the main story of that set in a very unpleasant manner. I'd say it had a very disappointing debut to the MTG story. That's the background needed to understand Nico's story thus far, and as you can tell, there isn't a lot there, which you may think is a bad thing, right? Maybe they're just another one-shot throwaway Planeswalker we won't ever hear from again. And that may be true, but that doesn't mean they couldn't have been involved in the story of Strixhaven, especially given the open door Nico had at the end of Kaldheim and their design overall. Let's now get into the specific reasons why I think Nico would have made a great addition to Strixhaven. Reason 1. Nico is a young Planeswalker looking to learn more about magic, planes, and being a Planeswalker in general. That's quite literally what Kasmina is looking for in their mysterious arc to recruit new Planeswalkers into her shadowy cabal in preparations for some event that she claims is going to be bigger than the War of the Spark. We know that Kasmina is already doing this with the young twins Will and Rowan Kenrith, which begs the question, what makes them any better candidates than Niko? Niko and Kasmina also have a story connection that's actually stronger than what Kasmina appears to have with Will and Rowan. While Niko wasn't involved in the War of the Spark, Kaya was, so Kaya and Kasmina at least could have some previous knowledge of one another, especially as Kasmina took a lot of time to really get to know all those new potential recruits for her guild. So with Kaya and Kasmina having a connection and Kaya meeting Niko at the end of Kaldheim, it's not a stretch to think that they could have been recruited and brought into Strixhaven in the same fashion Will and Rowan were. In fact, I would say it would have been easier to explain story-wise. Kaya meets Niko, learns literally in the final paragraph of the Kaldheim story that they too are a young Planeswalker, and understands that that requires some guidance. Kaya calls up Kasmina on like some multiversal Planeswalker watch, saying, "Yo, teach this kid." Boom! Instant Strixhaven include. Reason 2. Nico Ares already incorporates an existing Strixhaven college mechanic in their design. This probably flew over a lot of players' heads, most likely because Nico Ares as a card isn't very good. Man, I've just never seen a standard playable Planeswalker cost this little in real money so early on in a standard rotation, but yeah. No one really looks twice at it. But if you did and understood what Niko throws in their javelin competitions, you'd realize that they make shards of magical glass, creating shard tokens that look a lot to me like fractals. Now, I'm not a mathematician by any means. I literally took 3 uncredited math courses in college before I earned credits in that subject just because I was so bad at it. But Dr. Google tells me that a fractal is a theoretical construct in math, explaining why they appear heavily in the Quandrix College in Strixhaven. These eggheads and number crunchers love these fractal constructs so much that they even made it their college mascot. Do these fractal creatures look familiar? Yeah, they're very similar to the shard tokens Nico Ares creates. Now, I'll be the first to admit that my math may be a little off on this one, which is one way of saying that it's kind of a stretch. For one, the shard tokens created by Nico Ares act like treasures, but rather than give you mana, allow you to pay a mana to scry and draw a card. A far cry from the creature token that is fractals, I know. But is it so hard to imagine Niko joining the Quandrix College, seeing these enchanted fractal constructs, and learning to create them as well? Maybe their fractal shards could combine a creature token with the abilities of a shard token. To me, it just seems like a really easy way to transition this shard mechanic from Niko's original card into something more fitting for Strixhaven. Niko's off to forge their destiny, and that destiny could easily be sorting through math equations. Reason 3. My final argument, Nico Ares would have done more for the development of Liliana Vest than Will, Rowan, and possibly even Garruk Wildspeaker. I know, blasphemous, right? Everyone's drooling over the idea of Liliana versus Garruk round 2, and don't get me wrong, I'm totally in that camp as well. If Garruk wanted to brutally decapitate Oko for simply mind controlling him, whew, what's he gonna do to the woman who actually cursed him with the chain veil to begin with? That would be an awesome bit of conflict, and I look forward to it, but clearly Liliana in Strixhaven is more on a journey of guilt and growth. Hacking and slashing is going to come later. The big draw right now is Liliana coming to terms with Gideon's sacrifice to save her life, a life that she believes was undeserving of that sacrifice. She's going so far as to attempt to resurrect Gideon. While this sounds like it's going nowhere and Niko doesn't have a direct connection to Gideon, they do represent something that could appear as closure to the Necromancer. Niko, as mentioned, is from Theros and believes a lot of the same ideals shared by Gideon. Niko may even know Gideon from stories and legends back home. Every Therosian wants to be a hero and learns these qualities at a very young age. So literally, Liliana would never find a better analog to Gideon throughout the entire multiverse. Liliana could have learned from Niko why Gideon saved her, learned about true selflessness, learned what it means to actually be a hero as Gids was. Liliana in the story asks why and doesn't understand what fate is. Actually, she and Niko both mistakenly believe that fate is someone else dictating their lives, while Gideon believed that it's someone being in the right place at the right time and most importantly, doing the right thing in those moments. Together, they could have learned that lesson, pushing both of their characters' development and ending with closure in Gideon's sacrifice rather than seeing Liliana chase some means to end the only meaningful consequence from War of the Spark in Gideon's death. I mean, resurrecting Gideon would literally undo the only impactful thing to come out of War of the Spark. So, there you guys go, the 3 reasons why I feel like Nico Ares, of all people, could have served as a better Planeswalker in Strixhaven than almost anyone else. Now, this isn't to discredit the additions of Will and Rowan or the missed opportunity of including Garruk, but simply explaining how Niko Ares could have served as a great character in this set, and maybe, if they weren't literally in the previous set, it actually could have been a thing. Anyway, for those who watched through this video disappointed I didn't talk about Garruk, don't worry because that video is coming soon, so please consider hitting the like button and subscribing so I know that you're not too mad at me. Remember, you can also check out our Patreon page linked in the description below. As always guys, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!